During the 2016 campaign, the Obama administration FBI approached the FISA court and was turned away from a request to conduct some surveillance of Trump associates. This was in June 2016. That's very unusual. The FISA court usually approves most of the requests. It's almost a perfunctory approval, but in this case, they turned it down. The FBI or the Justice Department, it's not clear exactly whom, they came back in October of 2016 and they were approved for wiretaps. Later, the results of these wiretaps were leaked to the public, and that appears to have been a deliberate act by the Obama administration, which greatly relaxed the rules on distributing the transcripts of these wiretaps throughout the government. And the individual American citizens who aren't supposed to be revealed. Remember, this is an act, this is surveillance that targets foreigners. The purpose is to catch terrorists, basically. The American names are supposed to be redacted, but they can be revealed to certain people in the national security community with the highest levels of security clearance. And that has to go through a formal request process. What happened was there were a large number of unmasking requests made in the dying days of the Obama administration, many of them, curiously, by UN Ambassador Samantha Power, who has that level of security clearance, but doesn't really have a role in protecting the country. So she made, or her office made, a number of requests. Susan Rice, Obama's former national security advisor, also made some requests. And subsequently, the name of Michael Flynn, who was a key Trump advisor and served briefly as his national security advisor before he was fired, his name came up and was leaked. So he was caught up in the surveillance, as were several others. Now, where does this take us? Basically, this surveillance was used to prosecute Flynn and to investigate other Trump associates for their alleged collusion with Russians. And this basically formed the basis of the Russia conspiracy theory in the early days of the Trump administration. And the New York Times and the Washington Post and other mainstream outlets kept leaking little bits of information that they had received from sources at the FBI or the intelligence agencies, saying that they had these wiretaps, that these Trump associates were on record. They didn't have any evidence of collusion, but there were these conversations with the Russian ambassador and so on. Now, there was the contention made after Mark Levin, a conservative radio host here in the United States, put two and two together and said, hey, I think the Obama administration may have been spying on Trump campaign associates deliberately. And he put that story out in March last year. I then wrote a follow-up to that. Apparently, the president saw my follow-up, according to reports. And he then tweeted infamously that Obama had his wires tapped at Trump Tower. That set off a media feeding frenzy, and they thought the president had gone mad. But essentially, the president's been proved correct that there was this surveillance, and it continued not only during the election, but after the election and into the president's term, with regard at least apparently to one of his associates who's never been charged with a crime, by the way, Carter Page, but who was under surveillance. And the other piece of this is that the Clinton campaign funded the so-called Russia dossier, which was supposed to have provided Russian intelligence on Trump that served as the basis, or at least part of the basis, for the FBI investigation into the Russia collusion. That dossier, funded by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee, was apparently used by the FBI, or allegedly used by the FBI, to obtain that FISA warrant. In other words, they came to the FISA court with evidence that the Democrats and Hillary Clinton had paid for, which was essentially opposition research. They had no independent verification of it, but they came to the FISA court and they said, look, there's this evidence that we've got in the course of our investigations, and we think there's something fishy going on between these Trump associates and Russia. May we please conduct surveillance on the Trump associates? And the court turned them down once, but apparently said yes to them in the fall of 2016. And that's what led to much of the fracas here about the Russia collusion conspiracy theories.
That's an excerpt from my daily TV show, The Ezra Levant Show. Normally it's behind a paywall, but I thought you'd like this video, so we put it on YouTube. If you want to subscribe to watch the daily show every day, including always 2 interviews a day, and I read my hate mail, just click on this screen and become a premium member.